We are live, episode 30 of the REKAP Room podcast. We've got a very special guest for a very special episode.
Yes, sir.
Episode 30. A familiar face to anybody who watches our videos, our content, our Love Island, which we will be releasing episode 3, the season finale, here shortly. We got Mike Williams Jr. to be specific.
Yes, sir.
Also known as Mike Will. Thank you for coming on the podcast. This is kind of something I've been looking forward to because I've always wanted to have you on the podcast towards the tail end of your internship with us. For those of you who don't know, Mike Will is, as of now, just a temporary part of the team. He'll always be a forever part of the team, but he's an intern with us for the summer. He's going to be leaving here to go back to school in the next few weeks. So for people who don't know who you are, tell them a little bit about yourselves, how we got introduced, what you do at school, where you're from, all the good things like that.
Awesome. So like Cap said, I'm Mike Williams. I'm from Evanston, Illinois, suburb of Chicago. Went to Loyola Academy, so I'm a local kid.
Local boy.
Yes, sir.
Shout out Loyola.
Yes, sir. Shout out Loyola. Go Ramblers. Go to school at Colby College up in Waterville, Maine. I play football there, and I'm going into my last year.
Yeah, senior year. That's a big one.
Yeah.
What position you play?
I play middle linebacker and outside linebacker.
Okay. And tell me about how you decided, like, hey, real estate's something that I want to pursue a little bit further, look more into it, how we got connected, and then also to kind of, I know it's a 3-part question, but tying it back to how that relates to sports and how that relates to your relationship with football, and obviously you were a wrestler as well, for those of you who don't know before then. So,
So for the first part of that question, I think from a young age, growing up, that I just wanted to have abundance. That's the main thing that I wanted in my life. So I was always looking for ways to make money, just upgrade my life, upgrade my family's life.
Yeah.
So when I got to high school, I started thinking about specifics about how I could do that. And actually, the original way that I got into real estate, started thinking about it, was through the first state champion that my dad coached, Jeffrey Brown, up at Evanston Township High School.
Okay, sweet.
He's in real estate now. And he was always close to my dad, so he was always around. And I saw he went into real estate, and I was like, that I could do that.
Yeah.
That's relatable to me. So then started thinking more about it. And then flashback to today, or this summer, Chris Stevens, my youth wrestling coach at Loyola. Yeah, who's your managing broker.
Who was my old managing broker. Him and I are still very, very close.
Yeah. He told me about you, and I was like, can you put me in contact with him? And he did, and then we hit it off.
Here. Yeah, I remember taking that call, and you know, the same way when I brought on Mike P, obviously I'd known Gordy for a long time, but Mike P, you know, I'm always looking for people, like, there's intangibles that come with when you're bringing somebody on, and you have all of that. You have the intangibles, you have the determination, you're always willing to do stuff. Whenever we're texting in the group chat, hey, can somebody help out with this? Can somebody help? Without a question, Mike Will is, if he's not the first, he's right up there with everybody, willing to jump in. I know for Gordy, you've been a huge help for him this summer. Now, kind of tying it all back in, how has your experience seeing, and you've only gotten a little taste of real estate because you've only been here for a couple months. I think once you spend really, you know, a year, 2 years, that's when you really start to see, and we can dive in more and more into the nitty gritty of it. But just from what you've seen so far, how does real estate and, call it, I guess, football, but any competitive sport, like, how do you see the correlation between the two? Or is there a correlation? Do you see any relationship at all?
I definitely do see a correlation. I see it where you're playing a sport, and in order to get better at that sport, you gotta practice. You gotta get the reps in. And you always would tell me at the start, within my first couple of weeks, that you gotta get the reps in so you can learn the industry and learn what you're doing and actually know what you're saying to these people. So I see the correlation there, where you have to get the reps in. You got to be doing it. You got to be going to showings. You got to be, doing paperwork. You got to be doing everything in your ability to get better. So that's where the correlation I see is, and I really like that.
Yeah, and I think also it's not always this way. I think real estate can be a very individual sport, but the way, I call it a sport, but individual business, but the way we have it structured, as you could tell, is, I think, a really good environment for anybody who comes from playing sports because we're a team. You know, like our group chat's buzzing. Like I'm sure your group chat with your buddies at school is, and like we're always kind of there for each other, and there's never a man left behind.
Exactly.
And ultimately, you know, as a team, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So we all have a vested interest, especially me, obviously, with leading the team. But everybody has a vested interest in helping each other grow because ultimately we're a part of this team that's larger than, you, larger than me. It's bigger than just the name on the back of the jersey. It's the name on the front. And so I take so much inspiration and ways that I run the business from so many things that I've learned from sports, and I think that probably is a big reason why we connected on the level that we did.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So tell me a little bit about what it's been like, your experience with the whole team. Like, what was your expectation coming here? And I guess now that you're in 2 weeks pretty much on your way out back to school, like what's that been like?
I would say
give everybody the honest truth.
The honest truth. It actually matched up to my expectations pretty well. I kind of assumed that I would be, on my feet the whole day, walking around, going to different showings, which I like because it makes me feel like I'm actually doing something, not sitting behind a desk all day. It's not what I want to do with my life. So I would say it matched up pretty well with my expectations, and I loved the experience 100%.
Yeah. What about with being with the guys and everything like that? Has that been...
It's literally... Sorry to interrupt you, but it's literally like being in the locker room with my buddies, back at school. Jokes cracking, we're still getting work done.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest part. I think that the work gets done a lot easier when you're with people that make the work easy because you're having fun. So I feel like that's a big part too. Yeah.
And that's like, people talk about the culture all the time and like it's the team's culture, and that is so much of a big piece that like I can't quantify that in a spreadsheet. I can say, oh, we do these numbers and we do this, but at the end of the day, like somebody could come to me and be like, I produce this amount of business and I'm this and I'm so great because I close this amount of deals. But at the end of the day, if I meet you, I can know within 5 to 10 minutes of sitting down with you whether or not you're going to mesh with my team or not. And if you're not, I don't care how much business you're closing, you're going to be dead weight to the team because it's not about you. Once you're on a team, it's no longer about you. It's about the team. But going back to what you were saying about like having fun, I think that like if you're not enjoying it, at least not every day is going to be amazing rainbows and butterflies. But if generally speaking, you're not enjoying the process, you're never going to stick with it. I don't think. I mean, what do you think about that?
I 100% agree with that because why would you do something you don't love? Right. It's not enjoyable. You're not going to want to do it. You're not going to want to put yourself. You're not going to want to put yourself in order to make the money you want to make. So I agree with that 100%. This place makes me want to push so hard to get to where I want to be in life. So I appreciate you for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I could tell that you had that in you. And that's like, those are things I can't teach. I always say one of my favorite lines is, you train for aptitude, but hire for the attitude. And I could train pretty much anybody if they have the right attitude on how to do this business. If you have the right personality and you have the right attitude, this business is not rocket science. Within a year or two, you could be well on your way to like doing very, very well in this business, but you have to have the right attitude. And the problem is just most people don't. And that's why I think finding people that whether or not you do come from sports, but I think sports teaches you a lot of good life lessons, and there's a lot of correlation between the two. Looking forward for you into the future. I mean, you only got one more year left at school, and then it's off to the races. What do you think is in store for Mike Williams? If you had to say,
if I had any control over it, in a year, I would be here working for you, making money, or B, I'd be in Boston. Those are my two choices. I like Boston. I like here. I like Boston because all my teammates are from Boston area, Massachusetts, East Coast. So they make that enjoyable. But also this is my home. This is what I know. This is what I've grown up in my whole life. So
for sure.
It's kind of choices, but you make that choice so much harder. And I'm glad you make it harder because I know that I can come back here next summer and work my butt off and make money. So
yeah, man, and I think you're in a great position right now because you're at this time in your life where, and I know I'm speaking about this like I'm so old, man, but like it was like 5 years ago. I've been doing this now for 5 years, which is like a decent amount of time. It's a decent amount of time, and like you're at this point in your life where that you can. It's a defining moment. You can kind of see, all your buddies who you grew up playing sports with. Yeah. Some of them are going to try and continue. Some of them are going to stop, and it's kind of like, where are you going to take this thing? And the beauty of it is you can do whatever you want with it. It's ultimately in your hands. But no matter what you do, I know that you're going to be successful. I know 1,000% you are going to be very, very, very successful because you have the right mentality and the right attitude, and you show up and you're disciplined. And like I said earlier, those are things I can't train for. Those are things like I can't instill in you. You came to me well on your way at a step ahead of what most people do. So whatever you end up choosing, I know it's going to be, you're going to make it work. And even if you make a decision, I mean, I look at my path in real estate and life so far, like so many things that I've done. And then, there's never a wrong choice. It's just you make the decision. And if it doesn't end up working out the way you think it is, then you pivot. Right. You pivot. And we're all young, and that's why we can take advantage of that. Now, with being in Boston, if you did go out to Boston, would you try and be in real estate in Boston?
100%. Yeah. I know I want to be in real estate. It's just more so deciding where I want to be. Everybody's like telling me like live in Boston, just get away from home. But like we were literally talking about this before we started filming. Like living at home is not necessarily a bad thing because you're saving money. Yeah. I'm kind of on that side right now, just because like why would I? I'm still young, I got my whole life to live. Why would I go spend the money I make now and prolong the life I really want to live when I'm, 40, want to retire and just raise my family, why would I prolong that for my 20s, Exactly. It just doesn't seem logical to me.
Yeah, man. It's I think that there's pros and cons to everything. I obviously, the mentality I come from. I've really drilled it in this kid's head so many times. I'm like, I hope he doesn't think I'm crazy. But like, yeah, I mean, ultimately, when you're young, it's very the shiny ball is moving to the big city and spending that kind of money.
So I was gonna be there.
You also have to weigh that against setting yourself up. I always try and look at the people in my life that have, as they've gotten older, their lives have gotten better. Yeah, and sort of emulate what they've done, right? And a lot of them they've sacrificed a lot of their 20s and they're in part of their 30s to grind their way through. But ultimately, each year they did that, it just put them one step closer to the life they wanted to live. And so, with that being said, you still got to enjoy. You still, you can't take any day for granted. But again, going back to what I was saying or what we were saying earlier, if you love what you do, it doesn't even feel like a sacrifice. It really doesn't. Like every day, I'm 25. I'm still living at home. I very well don't have to, but like every day that doesn't feel like a sacrifice because I love it and I love what I know that it's providing for me and it's going to provide for my future family. And I know you have that same mentality. Yes, sir. That's why I know that you're going to be well on your way.
Thank you.
So any final closing remarks before we log out of here? I know you still got a few weeks left, so I'm not gonna kick you to the curb quite yet. But
I just wanted to publicly thank you, Gordy, Mike P, anybody that's ever given me a seed of advice here and there throughout my experience this summer. I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity. It was a good opportunity and I'm glad I took it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad it all worked out. And you have the world is your oyster, as they say. You have a whole career ahead of you, and I know you're going to absolutely kill it. So whether it's with us, whether it's with somebody else, different location, I'm excited to watch your career flourish over these next 5, 10, 15, however many years, and know that you always have a spot here with the team here in Chicago with the REKAP Group. So it's been a pleasure, but appreciate you coming on. Appreciate all your hard work, and we still got a couple more weeks left, so let's make it happen.
Yes, sir.